All right, guys, welcome back to the Shiels Golf Show podcast, episode 324 here in Manchester at our studio. Myself, Rick Shiels, and co-host Guy. Today, Guy, we are going to have a little bit of a topic of conversation around major tournaments. Now, I must admit, we've talked about this, but a lot's happened in the golf world in the last 7 days since we last did a podcast.
It has indeed.
We speculated at the start of last week's podcast about what Brooks Koepka's going to do and about he's going to have to wait till August, whether he gets his PGA status back. Moments later, after we recorded that podcast, it got announced that Brooks Koepka is back on the PGA Tour.
He is indeed.
With a few caveats. What's your take on it?
Wow. Big question to start off the podcast. There was some caveats. He has to pay $5 million to charity. That's not been chosen just yet, but that's good news. Whichever charity or charities benefit from that investment, that's good. It was very clever from the PGA Tour how they have done this. Just to note as well for people listening, we are still a couple of days ahead. When you hear this podcast, it's filmed a couple of days early, so I think more things might have broken. And also, we don't know what's happened in Dubai this week, so if we don't reference the golf, that's why. But the way they essentially said, without saying this, that Brooks, Jon Rahm, Bryson, and Cam Smith are all essentially welcome back with these caveats. That's the big players that live, isn't it? Let's be honest. And currently, so far, as we record this podcast, nobody else has kind of jumped ship. They've
all come out yesterday, obviously, as we recorded this, in a press conference with Teams Week at Live, and all said, we're not going anywhere. That's what they've all said.
Yeah.
They've got till the 2nd of February, apparently, to decide. That's before the balls are teed up at the Waste Management and the PGA Tour and in Riyadh for the Live Tour, for the Live Golf. It will be very, very interesting. My prediction is I don't see anyone else leaving Live because I just don't see it. However, PGA Tour definitely showed their hand and said, if you do want to come back, these are the caveats, which, to be honest, nobody really knew until Brooks went back to the PGA Tour because nobody's done it before. There's also breaking news today that Kevin Na has also left Live Golf. This is recorded a little bit early, so more news is going to come out of that. I don't know what Kevin Na is going to do because he would not be eligible to go straight back onto the PGA Tour because of, again, that criteria. He's 42 years old, so he's not really going to go down the kind of seniors route yet. Be really interesting to see what Kevin Na does. There's also team branding that's changed. So the Stingers have now become the Southern Guards. Ironheads, which obviously Kevin now was the captain of, has become Korean Golf Club. Majestics have had a rebrand. Smash have got a new captain in Taylor Gooch. There's lots and lots and lots of things going on before the very first event, which is only a couple of weeks away in Riyadh.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously what the PGA Tour have done, this kind of PGA Tour returning member program, they've said it's till the 2nd of February that these guys have to have made a decision.
Yeah.
But they've also kind of not fully shut the door on ever doing this again. They've kind of, the language they used was quite interesting, and it's obvious that they want the best players to play on the PGA Tour. So I don't believe for 1 minute that if this year Bryson sticks to his word and remains on Live Golf, if he wins nothing, or if he wins 2 majors this year and this time next year if he did want to go back to the PGA Tour, of course they would welcome him with some fines, some penalties, some asterisks next to things. But I think this is I think those guys know, certainly Jon Rahm and Bryson, I think they know their value to either tour, whichever tour they decide to play on, and wherever they want to play, I am sure they will accommodate them. So it is interesting. I think what Liv have done in terms of renaming the teams and stuff like that, I think is actually quite good. I think the team names arguably are better or make more sense in terms of having them like geolocated.
Yeah, we said it, how many times have we said on this podcast? I feel like for the first time we are seeing geolocated teams, and it makes so much sense to me.
It does. The only kind of slight pushback, as as a golf fan's perspective, is it's a bit of a weird time where the league is still very much in its infancy, in 3 or 4 years old. Well, 2022.
This will be the fifth year.
Yeah, fifth year. So it's kind of like, you know, if they have had that restructuring, if you like, and they've had that kind of thought or that brainwave, or they've been able to make it happen almost operationally, we now have got players from certain locations. It's just changing the names kind of now. It just, you know, maybe it's just a bit of a big example, far-fetched example, but if you are a fan of Ironheads and you've gone out and bought Ironheads merch and now suddenly it's called a totally different team name, your merch is now redundant. That might upset some hardcore fans, but I get what they're trying to do, so it's quite clever. But I think the big thing is how, you know, this year Brooks does actually go out and perform. I mean, he hasn't had the best year last year. Obviously, world ranking has dropped dramatically, which you'd expect to, because obviously Liv aren't getting world ranking points, but if he can have a solid year this year on the PGA Tour and performs well, then that's a big asset for the PGA Tour. If he plays badly and doesn't really do much, then quite quickly that novelty wears off, I guess, doesn't it?
He's also going to be playing more golf this year as well, because I think the caveat, he has to play in a certain amount of PGA Tour
I think it's 15 events, yeah.
So he's actually going to be playing more golf, albeit pretty much every single event will be in the USA. Right, so lots going on in the golf world. However, we talked about last week how we're going to make this podcast episode a majors special. It's a little bit early in the season, but I think it's
start of the year, isn't it?
Worth talking about. So we've gone away, we've racked our brains on who we think would win at the Masters in April, PGA Championship in May, the US Open in June, and the Open at Royal Birkdale in July. We're going to have those picks locked in. Mm-hmm. I think how this is going to work, and we'll kind of keep this competitive throughout the year. Our picks, wherever they finish in said major that we've picked them for, if they win, they get 10 points, second 9, 8, 7, all the way down to 10th place. If they're outside the top 10, they do not get any points. And we'll rack up throughout the year. And at the end, we will decide, we'll know who has got the best ball knowledge.
Okay.
When it comes to picking golfers at winning majors. We'll know after the Open in 2026.
One thing I would like to start off by saying with this is I don't claim, and nor do you, to be fair, to have this incredible ball knowledge, so I'm not coming into this hot-headed.
I've not gone static. I've not gone with loads of stats.
Okay, I've gone with loads.
I've gone with a bit of head, a bit of heart, mainly heart.
Yeah.
And who I kind of deep down maybe want to win as well.
Okay, so I've got a slightly different approach. I've got a little bit more rationale.
Should we start off with the
We've got to start
with
in
the Masters?
Chronological order.
So the Masters, as everybody knows, Augusta National Golf Club. The April, is it about the second week in April?
9th of April it kicks off, first night.
Everybody gets unbelievably excited. It is the start of the season. The beautiful manicured golf course, the azaleas, the perfectly cut fairways, the fast greens, the undulations. Everybody knows the yellow scoreboards. It is, not yellow scoreboards, white and green scoreboards. It is the Masters. How I've done it a little bit, I've kind of picked for every major, I've actually picked 3 names.
Okay.
But I've also got an event, like an actual winner.
Okay.
So I'm kind of seeing this almost like, come Sunday morning, who am I expecting to be at the top of the leaderboard? And I've got 3 names in the mix here, but I've got eventual winner.
Okay.
But I've only got 1 winner.
Okay. That's okay.
How would you like to do it?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
So for each of the majors, I've kind of, whereas you said you might have gone a little bit heart, I've kind of not really. I've gone a bit more head. And because of that, the actual picks I've gone for throughout all the majors might be a bit boring, maybe expected, who knows. I've gone for, and again, it might not be too much of a surprise, I've gone for Scotty Scheffler. Okay. Now, the rationale behind that choice was, last year he came 4th, and we don't even think about that because obviously it was such a big win for Rory, winning that kind of green jacket and getting that career Grand Slam. There was obviously the narrow loss for Justin Rose, who was so close to getting his hands on the green jacket, which would have been phenomenal, that we forget that Scotty Scheffler came 4th. That's how good he is. Yeah. He has an all right week. We don't even talk about it, and he comes 4th. The previous year, he won it. He's had a top 10 in 2023. He had another win in 2022, and then tied 18 and tied 19 in 2021 and 2020, respectfully. So he's an unbelievable golfer, goes up saying. He's world number 1. We know that. I just feel like we're going to get to April. We're going to be so excited for the new season to start, and we're going to go to Augusta National, and we're going to see Scotty Scheffler win, and we're going to go, of course he did.
Who wouldn't have picked Scotty Scheffler?
Yeah.
It kind of makes total sense, and I
I know it's a boring pick.
No, it's
but this is if I'm betting, which I'm not, and this is real money that I'm going to lose, that would be where I'm going to put the money.
Well, we've not got odds on this. We've not put any caveats. It doesn't have to be an outsider or this, that, and the other. And Scotty Scheffler is without question will probably be most listeners' picks for the Masters.
I know it's boring. I'm sorry.
I'm going to put a bit of a curveball out here. I've not picked Scotty Scheffler to win any of my majors this year.
Wow.
Albeit, I'm pretty sure on last week's podcast I said he's definitely going to win one or two.
Yeah.
I've actually not gone with him. Right, this is how I've done it. Picture this. It's Sunday morning. You flick on the TV and you're like, here we go. It's the Masters. It's the final round. I'm seeing 3 names at the top of the leaderboard, okay? I'm seeing Rory McIlroy at the top of the leaderboard after his incredible victory last year, managed to get it over the line, wearing his green jacket. I think he's going to come into this Masters a totally different person. So I'm seeing Rory McIlroy. He's got obviously ridiculous amount of length, hits the ball super, super high with his irons. And pretty much now you can say in the field, he's one of the guys who knows the golf course almost better than anybody out there now. I'm also seeing at the top of that leaderboard, and I really need to see him do something in the major. I'm seeing Wacky Neiman up there. I feel like he has every element of the game to do unbelievable at the Masters. I feel like out of all of the majors, the Masters would be the one that suits him the best. And I'm also seeing at the top of the leaderboard, Matt Fitzpatrick. I feel like Matt is one of those guys, certainly in the last kind of 24 months to even 3 years, the distance he's gained off the tee, the experience he's now got, he is so static driven. Like he'll be getting stats and stats and stats, but I can only pick one to win it. I don't think it'll be Rory this year. I don't think Rory will go back to back. So for me, I've seen it coming down to the final few holes between Wacky Neiman and Matt Fitzpatrick, and I believe the Masters winner 2026 will be Matt Fitzpatrick. I can see it. I don't know why. I feel like his experience, what he did in the Ryder Cup, the way that he's kind of now, he kind of plays chess a bit more when he's playing golf now. And I feel like you've got to think your way around Augusta National, as well as hit the ball super, super long, incredible short game, maybe the first golfer to win the Masters, chipping cack-handed left below right. So I see Matt Fitzpatrick as my pick for winning the Masters in 2026.
Do you know his previous form at the Masters?
No, 0.
Right, okay.
So I didn't go off that.
Okay. I didn't go off logic.
I didn't go off that.
He's had 2 top 10s there. So he has a tied 7th in 2016. He had a tied 10 in 2023. He's made the cut, apart from in 2014, he has made the cut every year. So in terms of putting money on Matt Fitzpatrick to make the cut at the Masters, I think you're going to make some sensible money there.
We're going out for winning.
Yes. Last year, tied 40th. Previous year, tied 22nd, tied 10, tied 14, tied 34, tied 46. So who knows? I mean, he's a great golfer. He's already a major champion. I think what's interesting with Matt Fitzpatrick and why you might be right, who knows, is that last year he actually started, I mean, just going off world rankings, which again I know is a little bit flawed here, but he started off last year and his golf wasn't brilliant. He actually went down to a low of 85 in the world after the PGA Championship. However, his form towards the back end of the season was much, much better, and he's now kind of world ranking, I think he's now in 24th. I think his data golf is even better than that. So he's obviously...
He's currently 12th in the world, and is he 14th on data golf?
Right, so let me just double check. So he's trended the right direction. He's obviously an unbelievable golfer, and yet you're right, he has put on a lot of distance. Could I see him in a green jacket? Possibly, but it's a bold prediction for your first one of the year.
I've gone big.
A bold one.
I think in that mix between Rory and Wacky Neiman, I think all the attention will be on them two, and I think Matt Fitzpatrick will just sneak in and get it done.
Okay, cool.
Next up, the PGA Championship.
Yes.
This year, it's being played at... I struggle to actually pronounce the name of this venue. Yeah. How do you say it again?
Aronimink,
which is... am I right in saying it's Pennsylvania area? So Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. Just a bit of stats. It's a classic old school American championship golf course, tree-lined fairway, strong rough, and demanding approach shots. It's not gimmicky, and it doesn't rely on tricks. Who's your pick?
I have gone for... You're not going to be excited when you hear this. Keegan Bradley.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you know why?
That is So
I've gone for
disappointed.
Keegan Bradley because he won the BMW in 2018 at Aronimink. So he's already won there, which is a massive bonus. He's already a PGA champion. He won the PGA in 2011. He came tied 8th last year, so he knows how to play a PGA Championship. He knows how to play that golf.
He won it in 2011.
Yeah.
Wow.
He knows how to play that golf course. This last year, he won the Travellers. If you remember, obviously, he beat Tommy Fleetwood, who kind of fumbled it over the finish line, which is a bit frustrating. Obviously, he's a Tommy Fleetwood fan, but then we had some good success with Tommy to the back end of the season, so that's fine. I think the kind of Ryder Cup woes as well, obviously, kind of having that Ryder Cup... I don't want to say failure is a strong word, but failure, if you like, from the US perspective, where, he should really maybe have been a player. He was obviously a captain. I think he's got, probably got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about that, understandably so.
He'll have the weight lifted off his shoulder, that's for sure.
He can now focus on his own game. I just think he's the kind of player where, again, I know it's not sexy and you're not going to go, oh my God, Keegan Bradley, but a guy that's won there before, he's won the PGA Championship, his golf is trending, he's kind of proved last year tied 8th. I think he'll be someone to put some money on.
I like this. I like the way you've gone into past form. Probably should have done that, shouldn't I?
It's normally how you pick a winner.
I don't. I go off heart. For me, I've not gone Keegan Bradley.
Okay.
And wouldn't surprise you. I've not actually gone Keegan Bradley with any of my picks.
No.
I've not gone anyone who I consider being... I don't know. Anyway. Right. This is how I see the PGA Championship playing out. Again, Sunday morning, click on the TV. I think there's 3 names at the top of this leaderboard, and I'm seeing Scotty Scheffler looking like he's going to run away with it. I'm seeing Scotty Scheffler maybe being 2-3 shots ahead, absolutely dominating. But in the hunting pack, I'm seeing 2 very fierce competitors, Victor Hovland and Jon Rahm. And I'm seeing everyone's going, oh, this is Scottish to win. This is him, this is going to get him over the finish line. However, it's not how I see it planning out. I think Victor Hovland is going to have a much better 2026 than he had in 2025. Obviously, he ended up winning 2025, which I think came as a shock to everybody, including himself. But I just don't. I think he's going to win big next year. He might win the Players. He might win something like that. I don't see him winning the PGA Championship. I'm envisioning an unbelievable back 9 from the man himself, Jon Rahm. I'm seeing the fact that he, again, hasn't won a major yet as a live player. I'm feeling that he has got obviously he's got the game. I mean, he did so well last year. He did everything just unbelievably well. He is currently, if I'm not mistaken, is he 5? I think he's number 5 in the world, number 2 on Data Golf. So he's right in the mix, and I would love to see a back 9 showdown between Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, but I am going to stick with my man. I think Jon Rahm will win the PGA Championship this year, and he will be miles ahead of Keegan Bradley. I mean, Keegan Bradley probably won't even make the cut, if I'm honest with you.
Wow.
That's how I see it planning
Very
out.
bold. Yeah, I mean, obviously Jon Rahm is a phenomenal player. I think if there was that kind of 18 holes, that final 18 holes on the Sunday where it was Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler, certainly with the narrative at the moment, it might be that kind of PGA Tour versus Live Golf narrative, which would be very interesting to buy into. I wouldn't bet against Jon Rahm. What a golfer.
What the PGA Championship is such an odd one, isn't it? Because it just... Obviously, it's a major. Is it the biggest trophy as well, isn't it, really? But yeah, it feels, again, we've talked about this loads, it doesn't feel the most, I don't know. It's an odd one. Anyway, moving into June, US Open, Shinnecock Hills.
This is arguably the one where I've gone somewhat with my head still, but I have kind of utilised my heart for this one. So this is the one where if you wanted to rip it apart and say no chance, you might well do.
So again, Shinnecock Hills, Long Island, New York, USA. US Open's normally known for its brutality. It's really tough golf courses. Often the ridiculously low score doesn't win a US Open.
So the person I've chosen, I won't spoil it just yet, but the last 2 years in major championships, this guy hasn't had that great, certainly by his standards, terrible, you could argue, form. Last year in 2025, he only made the cut in one of the 4 majors, and the one that did make the cut in, which is this one, the US Open, he came tied 12th. So there's some form there in the US Open in terms of last year. The year before, he did make the cut in all 4 majors, but like tied 45th, 26th, 26th, 43, so nothing to write home about. However, I have a feeling that this year, in the major championships, this guy has got a point to prove. He's going to come and he's going to prove us that he has still got more major championships in the locker. He's currently got 5. He has won a US Open before, twice, and he has also won the US Open at Shinnecock Hills. My bet for this year is Brooks Koepka.
The guy we've just been talking about.
I just have this feeling that it's the 3rd major of the year, so it gives him some time to kind of hopefully get his form back, to play more PGA Tour golf, get himself back in that kind of momentum. And, you know, realistically, yes, if he has a couple more years with that kind of major form not being great, maybe you could rule him out of major championships. But a guy that normally steps up to the plate when the majors are on the line, he won back-to-back in 2017 and 2018 at the US Open. He's not won a major since 2023, which obviously isn't that long ago, but by his standards, he'll be wanting another one on his mantelpiece. I just think when he's won at that place before, the memories that must bring back, you know, we all have golf courses we like going back to, and golf courses you might have traditionally played quite well at. Not there's that many for me, but there is golf courses I have played okay at, and that feeling. And I just think realistically, kind of coming into June, middle of June, he's had some months under his belt. I just think Brooks Koepka could be a guy to get his hands on the trophy.
Well, this might be the one where we agree on the most.
Okay.
Not fully agree on, but the most. So I'm seeing the US Open this year as being the real standout major. Don't know why. Just like I said, I've got a funny feeling. We saw the New York crowd. We saw what it was like at the Ryder Cup. We feel the momentum as we get into that third major of the year. I'm seeing there's going to be 3 names at the top of the leaderboard, and these are going to really get your juices flowing. I'm seeing Brooks Koepka at the top of that leaderboard, definitely. I'm seeing Rory McIlroy at the top of that leaderboard, definitely. And then one more name just to put this perfect storm together, this perfect cocktail of competitive golf. I'm seeing Bryson DeChambeau. I honestly feel like those 3 are going to go out from day one to the final day, throwing haymakers at each other at every single step. And I must admit, this was probably for me the hardest one to pick for this year, because I absolutely agree with you. I can definitely see Brooks Koepka doing well at the US Open this year, as I can with Rory. However, I do think who's going to come out on top of that, I actually think Bryson DeChambeau is going to win it. It's going to be one of those ones where it comes right down to the wire, maybe even a playoff. I would love to see a playoff between Bryson, Brooks and Rory. I don't think the golf world would be ready for it, and it would just be electrifying. I really feel like with the New York crowd, we saw how much love Bryson was getting in New York. I think he's going to ride off that crest of the love that he gets out there. I think Brooks is going to obviously put an unbelievable effort in. I feel like Rory's got obviously fighting between these 2 kind of heavyweights in the game, but I honestly think Bryson DeChambeau is going to pip it in a playoff, maybe 3rd hole playoff as well.
My other kind of shout then, because you've done obviously a couple for each one, who you think might be up there, I also wouldn't be surprised. I would love to see Tommy up there as well. Yeah. Last time it was at Shinnecock Hills. He had a final round of 63 and lost out by 1 to Brooks Koepka. He obviously has now won in America. He won the Tour Championship, which was massive for Tommy, I think, to get across the line in the States. So I'm not saying Tommy will win it, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see him up there. His game will certainly suit a US Open. He's so accurate. I'd like to see Tommy definitely do something strong there, so who knows?
Yeah, I think that's another good name in the hat. I mean, that would really spice things up as well, because they just would. Right, the final major, the Open at Royal Birkdale in Southport, England. Obviously, course that you me know very, very well. For a lot of listeners and viewers, they've gone through quite a lot of renovations over the last few years. They've made some changes to some of the golf course. We played it and it's beautiful. Royal Birkdale is so, so good. Obviously, who knows what the weather's going to be like in July in Southport. It could be windy, it could be rainy, it could be beautiful sunshine. It might be burnt out, it might be nice and green. I think the golf course has such a big part in this. Picks for the Open at Royal Birkdale, Guy.
So this is, again, a relatively straightforward name, a huge name in the world of golf. But looking at, Royal Birkdale and looking at the Open Championship and looking at who I've not picked as well for the earlier majors in the year, I simply came down to one name, and that was Rory. He came tied 7th last year at the Open Championship, which was for him a very big major championship, being at Portrush, obviously, in Ireland. The fans, the kind of pressure a little bit. I know we'd already got that kind of career Grand Slam, but showing that, even with the fans there, he could who clearly wanted him to win as much as anything, he still did a decent performance. I say decent, but good for his standards. Last time the Open was obviously at Royal Birkdale, the famous Jordan Spieth win. Rory came 4th, so again, he can play golf around Royal Birkdale, albeit there have been some changes to the golf course, but I'm sure that won't affect him too much. That's my bet. I would love, clearly, Tommy to win. That would be where, if there was a fairy tale, if there was a movie to be made, it would be Tommy. I mean, I just feel like for Tommy, I'm a little bit scarred by the 2023 Open at Royal Liverpool, where he had rounds of 61, 77, 71, 72, kind of fell away and came tied 4th. I think that home pressure of the Liverpool kind of Open was maybe a little bit too much for him. And I also think in Southport, literally his hometown, I just feel like that might be a bit too much on his shoulders. I think he's not got a major championship just yet, Tommy. I'd love to see him get his hands on one. I just feel like to win your first major championship on home soil, literally in your hometown, coming on that Saturday evening at the hotel room or wherever he's staying, the pressure, I just think it'll be too much for him. So that would be why I'm going to rule out Tommy and I'm going to go with Rory.
Wow. Well, I've gone for an all-English trio.
Lovely.
At the top of the leaderboard. I'm seeing this being real home advantage this year. I feel like the Americans have done so well at the Open over the last few years, bar obviously Shane Lowry, but I feel this time it's the English powerhouses that are going to get the job done, okay? I think I'm picturing the scene. I think the weather's going to be horrendous. I think it's going to be windy. I think it's going to be a real test. So I've gone with 3 names here, and probably doesn't surprise you, Tommy Fleetwood is definitely in the mix in these 3 names. And I am a hopeless romantic because I do want to see the movie being made. The script is set. It's there.
Oh, I want to see it being made. I just don't think it will be made.
2017 is the one that scars me, when it was last at Royal Birkdale, and Tommy was definitely one of the favourites going into that. He started with a 6-over par first round, ended up shooting a decent second round to get in to the weekend, just on the number, I think it was. And actually did okay in the end. He came tied 27th, but after such a horrendous first round, it was looking like he wasn't even going to make the cut. So the pressure was definitely there, without question. But I feel he is a different golfer. 9 years has passed since 2017. He's obviously had the experience at Royal Birkdale. For Tommy, he's kind of got 2 Opens, hasn't he? He's got Royal Liverpool and...
Yeah, Birkdale's the one. He's a Southport lad. That's the one.
But kind of like, he has really kind of got 2 Opens, but Royal Birkdale's, like I say, it's his garden. That's where he kind of grew up. So I'm definitely seeing Tommy do really, really well. But also, I would love to see, after an incredible last year, we sat down with this golfer, was it about 2 years ago? Justin Rose. And when we sat down with Justin Rose, he was literally qualifying for the Open. The glow up he's had in his game in the last 2 years, certainly last year, has been exceptional. Like, it really has. Let me just get his world ranking up again now. I did have it up before. 1 second. To Justin Rose, he is 17th in the world and 19th on Data Golf. He did unbelievable at the Open last year when... 2 years ago when Xander Schauffele won it up at Royal Troon. I really, really think he's got unbelievable, vast open experience. It was Roy Birkdale in 1998 when he first hit the scene, when he holed out that iron shot on the 18th hole to get the silver medal and become not the silver medal, the what's it called? The amateur. Is it the amateur prize? I just think he's got, again, all the ingredients are there for a perfect open, and to throw in a bit of spice. Because he could be quite hot-headed, certainly if the weather is gritty, but he has such determination and just power. I also want to put Tyrrell Hatton in the mix there. And I feel like, again, this is going to be a real, real close one. 3 really good friends, Justin Rose, Tyrrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood. But I can't look past the movie. I can't. I want to see Tommy with his beautiful locks. I want to see him lift up the claret jug, stood there on the 18th hole, 18th green at Royal Birkdale with little Frankie and his other kids coming out, running out, giving him a big hug. My prediction is on Tommy Fleetwood winning the Open at Royal Birkdale.
This is where I think there's a slight discrepancy in our picks, because you're saying I want to. I absolutely want Tommy Fleetwood to win the Open, but I've done this off actual if I had literally to put my life savings on it, would you honestly go with Tommy?
Yeah.
Really?
Life savings.
Wow.
I don't have much savings. Right, so to go through the picks again. The Masters. What's interesting, we've not picked the same for either one.
No.
Which has been great. The Masters, I've picked Matt Fitzpatrick to win.
Mm-hmm. I've gone Scotty Scheffler.
For the PGA Championship, I've picked John Rahm.
I've gone Keegan Bradley.
For the US Open, I've picked Bryson DeChambeau.
I've gone Koepka.
And for the Open, I have picked Tommy Fleetwood.
And I've gone Rory McIlroy.
Do you want to hear mine?
Yes, please, Ed.
For the Masters, I've gone Patrick Reed.
Yeah, solid.
I think he
did very well last year.
Played well there last year, and then also I think he grew up around there, didn't he? Or
went
to college.
He won it 2018.
PGA, I've gone for Rose.
Yeah, solid.
US Open, Scotty Scheffler to complete the career Grand Slam. And then Open, I've gone for Rory.
Like it.
I had to get it on receipts.
Ben?
Yeah.
Let me guess. Minwoo Lee.
Yeah, I don't even need to say it now. Yeah, I was going to say Minwoo Lee, Adam Scott. Yeah, they'll do me.
Cam Smith.
Cam Smith. Resurgence. No, I haven't actually thought about it, but so yeah, I will go Minwoo Lee for the slam. Minwoo Lee for the slam.
Across the board. Across the board. Very good, very good, very good. Right, let's lock those in. We'll discuss them as each major comes into play. They cannot be changed. They have to be locked in now. That's it.
They're locked in.
Okay, great. We've also got Ben, who we just heard from there, on little cameo on the podcast, because Ben's new role as of the last few months has become Hit Channel Manager. In the last few months, we have had unbelievable...
That's quite noisy, that mic, because you keep moving it. Sorry, Ben.
Bloody hell, Ben.
Sorry, first time
listener. Mm-hmm. In the last 3 months, we've had over 6 million views on the Hit Channel. At the start of 2026, it's been driver silly season. And we've got Ben on the podcast to give us a little bit of a rundown, and if there's anything else to share to our wonderful audience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great intro. It has been an exciting time. I want to say, in my short history of being into golf, I feel like the last driver season was probably my first full driver season, but this season in particular, I think, has got me incredibly excited. I feel like there's been a lot of great releases. I feel like every driver so far hasn't let us down. I feel like TaylorMade have really fixed what they were looking for last year in terms, I think there was a clear issue that, Tour pros weren't using that driver, and we're seeing that already, and we'll probably see that into the Dubai Desert Classic. Callaway, we can talk about that because it's coming out at the end of this.
It'll be out already now.
It will be out already by the time this pod's out. I think you really enjoyed the performance of that, Rick. Mizuno have brought new technology that we've not seen in drivers yet, that nano alloy face. Cobra, incredibly exciting with their POI investigation, we can call it. How the face rotates. I don't know if we want to go into that a bit more, but I think that's incredibly exciting. You know, MOI is all about sort of protecting ball speed off, you know, all across the face, but this POI is sort of protecting control as well, which is all really exciting. So, and then we've also had Tacoma irons sort of like sneak through and launch, and they've obviously been incredibly popular and, you know, in their price and the performance. Obviously, a lot of social media influencers using those irons, and they've dropped those new irons, and I think we agreed that we didn't love the look of them, but the performance is still so incredible. Coming up, we've got there is so much product we have coming out. Like you said, Rick, we want to do more this year, bigger and better. We want to review more products. So just as a little teaser, I guess, we've got the Cobra irons coming out. You know, they've been incredibly popular. Ricky Fowler and Max Homer and TGL have been using those irons this week. So they're going to be really exciting to review. They've got a hefty price. I think we can say now $1,800 for 6 irons.
Crazy.
6 irons.
But there's
How much are the 7 irons and 8 irons and wedges? Whee!
But there's been some talk already that these are the irons of 2026 already. So that's pretty exciting. Cobra mini drivers. We've got new Ping mini driver leaked. That's not official yet.
Just on that, and just a couple of things for everyone listening. If you're watching, you can't see Ben, but he looks great behind the camera. If you're listening, he obviously sounds great with that Aussie accent. But it's been great for us having Ben, because not only has Ben been unbelievably organised, helping us with all the product reviews, but the fact that he just touched on that he's quite new to golf has helped us massively, because although he's quite new to the game, he's learnt so much in the last couple of years. But actually having someone that's a little bit newer sometimes has helped us maybe explain things or think about things in a different way when reviewing golf clubs than maybe we normally would. So Ben sometimes asks us questions, or we've either known the answer straight away and said, "Oh, this is because of this," or "This does this because of this," and then, or maybe he's asked a question, "Well, actually, yeah, why is that?" or "Why do golf clubs do that?" or whatever. So that's been really helpful. So kudos to Ben. But what's really interesting as well, and we're seeing now that Ben just touched on it, then hence me kind of jumping in. But Mini Driver's one of those golf clubs that TaylorMade, I would argue, kind of pioneered and pushed a little bit, but now every brand from Titleist, now even Ping, feels the need to produce a mini driver. Cobra also just brought one out. That feels that's a golf club now that isn't really going anywhere, that is going to be around for a good while. And it's interesting because these golf clubs pop up, sometimes they're fads, but mini drivers do feel like they are certainly here to stay.
I agree. I think they're doing a good job, what I love. And, you know, I feel like the fact that it resonates for me must resonate with everyone else, that they're, you know, the R7 quad. You know, I wasn't around for that driver, but it was around for you guys, obviously. But it's still, for someone new to the golf, it's so timeless.
You oldies.
You oldies. Yeah. But still so incredible. And that Ping prototype mini driver that's been leaked is very interesting looking. But I just got a feeling they're just, knowing Ping, they're going to drop that and it's going to be incredible, isn't it?
I would argue Ping and Titleist are a little bit like Apple sometimes. They might take it as a compliment or they might not. Although they're both very innovative brands, they bring things out when a technology is established or a something is established. So whereas Apple often, you know, follow Samsung or other brands with the technology in the mobile phones, you know, Ping would never be the first to bring out a mini driver, or Titleist, but when they do, they will be very, very, very good. So the Ping one in particular, their metals have been so good the last number of years. Their mini driver, I would think, would be very, very good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you've summarised that up perfectly, and I think as much as I'm not on the mini driver boat just yet, I'm starting to really understand, and certainly seeing you use the mini driver to such great effect, you're selling it to me.
It's a big 3-wood. It's just that doesn't sound as sexy and wouldn't sell golf. It's a 2-wood. If they were brought out as 2-woods, less people would have bought them because they say, well, I've got a driver, I've got a 3-wood, I don't need a 2-wood. But if you see it more like a club that you would use when you would use a 3-wood, but with more protection, more help, more forgiveness, that makes sense. If you see it as a driver that's smaller, that somewhat defies logic, because why don't a driver that's smaller and maybe even less forgiving? But I think they're great. I think the other club, touching on that as well, that's kind of really come into fruition in the last kind of 12 months that now everyone's doing, is that the zero torque or low torque putters. That is something that, hand on heart, from my time in playing golf of how long I played golf for now, coming up to 20, no more than 20 years, coming up to 30 years, oh my gosh. That's ridiculous. Wow, flipping out, that's quite scary. But coming to 30 years of playing golf, you do see some things come and go and don't stay around for long. And I personally don't think that zero torque putters will be here forever, if I'm honest with you.
Has anybody taken my idea yet of the maxi driver?
Not yet.
Big chance there, guys. Come on. Somebody. Little 14, 15 degree driver. It's like a mini driver, but more forgiving.
Going on tech that we think may or may not stick around. Back to the Hit Awards. Rick, you obviously named the Spoiler Golf OG, it's called, as your putter of the year. Is that something we could see? I know you touched on the video that you think brands could even buy out Spoiler Golf.
I think work needs to be done on the product itself, but the concept I think is incredible. I think if somebody went and bought that concept or design, like let's say, I could imagine someone like Even Roll buying that concept and bringing out a spoiler version of an Even Roll. The spoiler itself at the moment, it lacks certain quality on the actual product, but the technology I think is incredible. The roll you get off those putters is outstanding.
I think you can notice it soon. Like I think the boys
it's very visible.
Yeah, you can pick that putter up, and the guys in the office here have done the same thing. You pick that putter up and you hit a few putts of it, and it genuinely looks as it rolls different. And I don't get it.
You know what's interesting though with this? I think we have to remember that some of this technology that some of these smaller brands bring out does go on to take off and be successful. And Lab are a great example of that. You know, Lab weren't a well-known brand, brought out their putters, and now every brand from Titleist to Odyssey to however Callaway's the same company, but you know what I mean. Ping have all now brought out zero torque putters. I would be unbelievably dumbfounded if the engineers at Odyssey, Ping, Scotty Cameron have never made a minus loft putter before to trial it. And you then think, there's probably a reason why they haven't brought that to market, whether it's very hard to market it, whether it's hard to get in people's hands, whether there's downsides, whether there's something. However, having said that, maybe it's just something that a smaller breakthrough company has to bring, has to establish people's interest in, and then other brands would follow suit. So we'll either see it, sounds obvious, we'll either see it take off, in which case probably most brands will start to do it, like they have done with zero torque, or it flops. It's kind of no middle ground, I don't think.
Not. You're right, it's not.
It's a bit like the big putters in the kind of mid to late 2000s. There was a trend with the Odyssey 2 ball, probably started it. The Doc 17. Have you ever seen that, Ben?
God.
The Ping Doc 17?
No.
So the Ping Doc 17 was a 17 centimetre faced putter. If you literally put it next to a golf ball, it was absolutely crazy. And then they had one called the Crazy as well.
Massive.
But then they had the Doc 17, I think a Doc 15, and even a Doc 13. But it was it was like a dinner plate, quite literally. It was ridiculous.
I'm looking at a picture of it. It looks like it's nearly 4 golf balls wide.
It quite literally is. There was, and then there was a massive spell, which just kind of stayed around a bit of like really thick putter grips. The 2-thumb grip was one that kind of came out. And again, although these things have still stayed around, you will still see some tour pros with kind of quite unique bits, and sometimes these things stay. A lot of these trends come and then they go again.
Has there been a trend like this with zero torque? You know, like for example, Lab could have brought this zero torque idea to the market, and Lab could have run with it. People could have used Labs at their club comps, maybe a few pros. But have we seen a trend like this maybe blow up as much? You know, to the point where Scotties are making them. Every manufacturer is bringing out a zero torque putter.
I would simply say mallet.
I'd say mallet putters, the big-headed putters. I'd also say hybrids. So hybrid-style clubs have been around, obviously, for donkey's years. But when Ping released the Rescue, the TaylorMade Rescue Mid, in about 2005, it would have been, that was something that changed the game. Another one that TaylorMade did as well was the R7 Quad you touched on before. That was the first driver that was mainstream with the like movable weight technology. And then after that, every golf brand started to bring out drivers that were movable weight. And I think Nick Kent, which was a golf brand in the mid-2000s, 2006, they brought out drivers that you could change the shaft. The object with them was to actually change the shaft. You could take a shaft out and put another shaft in. That technology didn't really stick around, but what did stick around was the fact of taking out your shaft and changing loft, which is, again, every man. Imagine if a driver brought out a glued-headed driver now. That would be insane.
Yeah, of course.
Another things that aren't really kind of technologies, but things that came and you didn't know if they'd stick around or not, was when I started playing golf, every driver really was steel shafted. It was quite common then that you got more casual golfers had graphite shafted irons, but tour pros like Tiger was sticking with a steel shafted driver. Eventually he went to a graphite driver, but this 3 would still be steel. And now I don't believe you would find a pro on tour who hasn't got a steel shaft, who has a steel shafted fairway wood.
That's true.
So there is things that have changed over time.
And even like centre shafted putters, that had a massive fad in the early 2000s. You look at golf ball alignment, like that's become a big trend over the last few years. Like it's not a technology story as such, but it was so obvious in the past just to have the name on the side of the golf ball. Now you don't find any golf ball that just has the name on. They have some sort of alignment, they have some sort of a line on there to help you line it up when you're putting.
I think sometimes a lot of this though, it is quite literally trend. Ben and Ed are giggling a lot behind the camera, so you're putting me
Ed
off.
wants to say something.
Go on.
Thick putter grips weren't a thing, but now they are. Every putter does thick putter grips.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, going back to guys, I think there was a period where there was much thicker.
Well, it was all pistol, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was all pistol grips.
And
then
it went
things like a
really
two-thumb.
thick.
Yeah. And then even Scotty Cameron started coming up with really chunky grips. They've kind of gone back a bit more now to more like a pistol grip.
Do you remember the Fatso
grips? Yeah.
That was massive, honestly.
If you Google two-thumb putter grip, Ben, it was literally like, it was crazy.
But 2 thumbs are weirdly still around.
You still see some tour pros using them, but they were really
But they're more
big,
they're like wider, aren't
very,
they?
very wide.
But that's like a new thing, right? Yeah, you're just saying, I feel like I've seen Pete use that.
Yeah, they kind of come. That's a bit like clothing and fashion things in golf. A lot of it is fashion. It's like, imagine you are a tour pro and you have a bad week. Do you remember when the jailbird went big a year or so ago? Because a few guys won with the jailbird, and the other guys go, he's putting well, I need to try that. And if that then filters down to amateurs.
It was Ricky Fowler and Wyndham Clark, wasn't it?
Yeah, and did Keegan Bradley also pay? Maybe there was a few guys that used them.
It is funny when you see like amateurs come to like the golf club with new equipment and you think it's going to change the game. Like when those 2-thumb putter grips came out and someone on the putting green was like, yeah, I'm going to change to it, and then they go and do it straight away.
I've got 2 more things that Rick will certainly testify to. We've touched on one definitely in the podcast before, but the first one that you won't believe was a thing was obviously all golf shoes used to have metal spikes, and when the plastic like Black Widow spikes came out, that was a really big thing because it was so different. And now golf clubs actually in the UK don't really let you on in metal spikes, even though we'd find metal spikes. But I remember that being a transition.
I can't remember the last time I played with spikes.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's even gone to the next level. And the other one as well, which we have touched on before, is all golf bags that you would buy had one strap on.
I was going to say that.
And then you could then Izzo brought out an actual strap that you would buy that was dual strap that you would put onto your golf bag, and then obviously slowly but surely it became the norm, obviously, where golf bags started to have 2 straps on, which again is a technology, if you want to call it that obviously is so much better. You're distributing the weight over 2 shoulders as opposed to 1. But then even now, just to flip side, that just proves again fashion, because actually now, although 2 straps makes so much more sense, if you see a cool guy dressed all in baggy manners clothes, they actually have a 1-strap bag.
Yeah.
So it's almost like whoever's cool rebels against what's the norm. So as soon as, if we ever go to a point, which we probably won't do, where everyone use 1 strap, the cool guys would then go to 2 straps again. So it's just the way it goes.
One of the most pointless trends back in the day was sweatbands.
Yeah.
Copper bands as well.
Jay Lindenberg used to bring out these wrist sweatbands.
Yeah.
He used to put them on. It's like
They were the cheapest Lindenberg thing you could buy, so I had them because of that.
White belts.
White belts was crazy big.
They weren't pointless. They look cool.
Yeah.
White belts were massive for a long time.
The Adidas logo as well.
You know what though as well, I think I'm sure every genre of every era of golfer has had lots of things, but I actually think with the era we are in now and have been in for the last 10 years, 15 years, we've arguably seen the most, because again, I grew up when it was steel-headed drivers. It wasn't obviously wooden, it was steel. Then it went to titanium, and that was the big thing, and now we're looking at like carbon and things like that have changed. When I started playing, there was obviously no GPS, there was no lasers, there was no Bushnells. That's something that we now absolutely take for granted. Again, steel shaft now, it's obviously graphite in your longer clubs.
Adjustable weights, changing the shaft.
Exactly, all the, TrackMan, GC quads, going for lessons with actually having all this technology. That actual...
We should be a lot better.
We should be a lot better. But even, and again, the last one I'll touch on, because I do sound like an old man here, even though I'm not that old, is I remember being like 10, 11 years old. For me to get my fix of golf equipment, it was literally to go to the shop every month and buy Golf Monthly and buy Today's Golfer. It was normally around the middle of the pages we'd get the equipment news and stuff, and you'd see the new launches. And I remember the first time when Callaway launched their golf ball, the Callaway Rule 35 golf ball. And if you search for that, Ben, the Callaway logo was like the straight logo. So they always had that curved logo with the chevron. And for some reason, for their golf ball, maybe it was easy to print. They just had this little straight golf ball, and there's a Rule 35.
It's got like a little red C on it.
Yeah.
As well.
and they were like the first golf balls. And I remember seeing that, and it'd be like, oh my God, Callaway have got a golf ball. Whereas now, obviously, with like Instagram and all this kind of stuff, you see equipment so much ahead of time, but there was that magic to it.
Yeah.
And pro shops as well, you go somewhere and you see stuff that you'd never seen before.
Well, we were talking about just yesterday how the box of golf balls hasn't changed, apart from, would you say it was TaylorMade?
TaylorMade golf ball.
Do you remember what it was called?
It was just a gel or something like that. Or maybe
and
it
it came in almost like a tennis sleeve, like a tube more than not a big one, but kind of a small tennis tube.
And I sometimes, looking back and romanticising about times gone by, I sometimes feel like, there were so many more trends back then when we played golf, but I don't think there was. I think it was just maybe that I was more involved. And like, again, touching back on the zero talk, there's such a trend right now that these things are coming around. It's just maybe I was younger and more obsessed about being part of the trend.
I think I've talked about this one before as well. Like when the golf bag and the double straps, you used to have a straw coming out of the double strap.
So was that a TaylorMade bag? Did you have a pink one?
Bag, and I think I had a Nike one as well, where the straw would actually come up through the strap, and in your bag where your waterproof pocket would be, you'd have like almost like a pouch that you'd fill it with liquid, ideally water. The mistake I made, I put Coke in it one time. And then left it, and then I was trying to suck it out of this straw, and it all just got minging. I had to chuck the whole bag away.
Oh God,
that sounds like it should be a feature today. I like that.
You get walking stuff, don't you? That's all
literally a little
bags.
straw.
You get like camelbacks and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Yeah, it was really good.
The TaylorMade Inner Gel Pro.
Yeah, I said it was gel. There you go.
1999.
Knowledge
in
for
like
you.
a little tennis tube.
And it was the old gold, like the brown kind of TaylorMade stuff. Yeah,
yeah, that's them.
Yeah,
they look great.
Yeah, they were so cool.
But this is literally, again, I would have been 8 or 9 then. This is when I was just starting to really, really, really get into golf equipment. And it was just so exciting that stuff would come out. And I think, again, maybe it is a bit rose-tinted glasses, but products stayed around for a bit longer. It wasn't every single year. It was a bit more, maybe 2 years. And genuinely, what was a big thing back then, the technology jumps were actually ginormous from year to year because there was so much R&D and there was so many things that were happening to golf clubs. And the last one, Ben, I'll get to Google, was the Hippo Giant driver. So the Hippo Giant was the first 400cc driver, and a few of the lads at the golf club had them. And honest to God, compared to things like the Callaway Big Bertha and Biggest Big Bertha, etc., it was abnormally large. It was just unbelievable. And you think now 400cc would be tiny, it'd be even smaller than the Players driver. And the brands as well, last thing I keep going on about, the brands that you had back then, there was so many more. There was your Hippos, your Rams, Slazenger stuff was quite good. You obviously had Maxfly was good. Even Top Flight we laugh at now, but Top Flight stuff was good. Spalding.
Is there more, or have they just changed?
Just changed.
There's
Lynx
still
was massive. There's
loads.
Think of all the brands that didn't exist now that we're touching about, like your Tacomos, your Labs, mine's going blank,
Golf.
Vice Golf. There's arguably, well, there will be more brands now due to the fact of the internet. It's just that they've kind of, apart from those handful of real prestigious brands, there's been so much more change in the fringe brands and the legacy brands. Even Wilson, Wilson's still a brand out now that do quite well, but years ago they were the brand that was very, very authentic. Dunlop was a great brand, albeit you might laugh at it now. Howson. Oh, there's millions.
They were like my first set, Howsons.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've been able to take you down memory lane. It's been quite nice.
It's lovely, but I think that's why,
the good old days, Benny boy.
Well, you hear about it though, how you get some people who are like, I've seen videos before, like sneaker collectors who collect loads and loads of trainers, but part of why that is, and they acknowledge this, is when they were younger, they couldn't afford to buy those trainers every week, naturally, if you're 10, 12, 15 years old, whatever. And that's like me now. Obviously, I was very lucky to play golf and have a lot of great gear, but I couldn't go out and I remember wanting a 2-ball so much, and they were £149. And Mum and Dad, I think I eventually got one after a long, long time, but they weren't just going to go and buy me one for no reason, and nor should they. It's a lot of money. Certainly back then, 150 quid was a lot of money. And now there'll be juniors listening to this maybe or watching who want a new Scotty Cameron that's 400 quid. We're not going to get that for nothing off your parents. Either go out and earn it or win enough comps you can buy off your account in the pro shop. But when you do get older, maybe you are lucky, you can buy things a bit more off the cuff. You look back and think, I'd love to buy some of those old gear now. And that's why when we go to these places like St Andrews or Golf Bidder, when we go to the old Octoloni shop or like the Golf Bidder warehouse, we'll naturally see things and go, a V-Steel 3-wood.
We got childhood memories with grown-up money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And if
it's
you
like-
walk into a golf shop with a £30 V Steel, I can go in and flex. I'll have 2 of them.
Left-handed, I'll have it. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching as always. We shall see you very, very soon. Enjoy your week, everybody. Bye.